Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the last class in our 4-part hip series. This is more of a cool down. With that being said though, it doesn't mean that it will be any less intense. We're just going to be holding postures a little bit longer. If you need blocks for your practice for pigeon pose or double pigeon, feel free to grab them. We are going to get started in downward facing dog. So take your hands wide as your shoulders and then walk your legs back and add a generous bend into the knees. Start to poke your butt upwards and then pedal out your feet and just give a little sigh out through your mouth. Inhale and begin to stretch your left leg up and back. Bend your left knee, open your left hip so we can yawn the hip open. And then as you exhale, we're gonna take that left ankle over to your right wrist. Now, if your ankle doesn't get up there pretty far, that's okay. Just point your toes back towards the right back corner of your mat. Then you're slowly gonna lower your knee down to the ground and wiggle your right leg back. We'll start to walk your hands back towards your hips. And this may be where you're like, oh, I might be able to bring my foot up there and then flex your ankle. So we're just going to work on pointing the toes back towards your knee. From here, so you can probably see I have a decent amount of lift. You can always bring a block under your hip if this doesn't feel stable. And then we work on scissoring thighs towards the midline. You'll squeeze your right glute to support this and take pressure out of your lower back. And option here to either keep your hands down onto the ground or bring your hands to the center of your chest. Some people like to stretch their arms up overhead and begin to take a back bend. So just do what feels right. You're only here for one more breath. And then exhale, we bring it down to sleeping pigeon. So you'll take your hands down. We want to support and still find length in the spine. So instead of rounding and just being like, this sucks, we find length in the chest. Think proud spine, and then you walk your hands forward. And there is a tendency for a lot of us to go a little too deep into the posture. So you just take your time to get down there. Maybe you have like one hand down, one forearm down, and then slowly kind of snuggle into this. Once you arrive at your edge, right, where you're feeling sensation, we want to continuously push the left hip out and square the right hip down. And then you could slowly take your elbows out to the sides and let your forehead rest on your hands. So we'll be here for a few more breaths. And what we'll focus on here is creating a quality of softening around the hip. And that is achieved through listening to the cycle of your breath, the rhythm of your breath. Dropping away from any judgment you have of how deep you are in the pose or what this feels like. We want to make it as accessible as possible. So if you need to back out, listen to your body. It has a lot to teach you when you're holding the postures. And we're going to take one more breath here. And let it go. Inhale and lift your chest. Walk your hands in towards your left shin. And then you're gonna roll to the outer left hip and we're gonna bring the right leg forward. You'll then pick your right leg up, flex your right ankle, and cross your right ankle over the left. So I'm just gonna turn so you can see. This is called, this is double pigeon, because like one's not enough, or fire log pose. So we wanna see that the knee is directly over the opposite ankle here. And then we try to sit up nice and tall. So If this feels like no, my knee's up here and I'm not feeling an edge at all, I want you to cross your ankles and come into a seated posture like this and then fold. For those of you that are like, this is perfect, or I'm feeling a lot here, you're gonna place your hands down, lift your chest, and then maybe walk your hands forward. So just find the variation that's going to work for you. You can either be in cross leg or work this double pigeon variation. What I like to do here is just land my hands behind me and think about lifting to the chest. So kind of working posture as my hip bones try to push down into the ground. So whichever variation you're in, we're here for 3 more breaths. You might just close your eyes and work on creating that quality of softening again around the hips, listening to the cycle of your breath. One more inhale. And exhale. All right. So I'm going to turn back towards the front of the mat where you probably are. And then we're going to take that right leg back. So coming into a single pigeon again. Hands come down onto the ground. Now we want to transition out of this and create space in your body to do so. So you're gonna walk that right knee in. You'll elevate your right knee and pick your left leg up. You're gonna pull your left leg back and open your hip. And it might feel great just to stay here and work that hip opener. If you have flip dog or full wheel, feel free to go there. I'm not gonna cue that up in this class. Take one more inhale. And then exhale, place your left foot down onto the ground. We're just gonna take a moment in child's pose to just feel your body absorb that side of your pigeon and double pigeon. Big breath in, and a huge breath out. Second side, inhale, lift your gaze, spread your fingers wide, come back into your downward facing dog. Take your feet a little closer together, elevate your right leg, bend your right knee, yawn your right hip open, push into your hands actively here. Exhale, cross your right ankle up towards your left wrist. So just notice how far it goes up there. If it only goes halfway up the mat, point your toes and lower your knee down. If it goes more like up towards the ankle, you can keep your ankle flexed. Up towards the wrist, I should have said. And then walk your left leg back. And we try to find length first. So finding length, you press into the hands and we lift. So you have to hug into the midline here. It's a huge stretch through your left hip flexor. Once again, too much, hands come down into the ground or blocks. Then option to take the hands to center, or we start to find length through the chest, lift, keep hugging into the midline, maybe even add a back bend, a big breath in. And then exhale, start to hinge forward. So we tend to get really lazy here and just round down. Stay elevated in the chest and walk your hands forward. You'll feel maybe like a deeper sensation in the stretch. And if it is too much, you can always roll to the side, use a block under your hip, and then we'll slowly lower down. Now I want you to focus on your exhalations. So see if you can empty all the way out. And then take a big breath in. Slow and steady exhale and start to release that surface tension around the hips. Last 2 breaths here. One more inhale. And let it go. Inhale, start to pick your head up off of the mat. Walk your hands in towards your right knee and then roll to the outer edge of your right hip. We're gonna glide the left leg forward. So it's gonna be right leg on the bottom. I'm gonna face towards you again just so you can see. And then that left leg, you're gonna like pick it up, cross left ankle over the right. So we're seeing the knee over your right foot. And as you can see, I have like a pretty big gap here. I've got a lot of space. So I'm just gonna work on grounding through the sit bones. Some of you, your knee is gonna be flush against your foot. And if that's the case, maybe you hinge forward for more sensation. If that feels completely inaccessible, cross your ankles and hinge forward from there. We'll take 3 more breaths wherever your body has landed. And you can close your eyes, soften the muscles around your eyes, and remove any sense of judgment about how deep you are in a specific hip opener. And add that quality of listening to your breath. You have 1 more inhale here. And exhale. Inhale, blink your eyes open. Come up to a seat. We'll take the left leg back behind you. So it doesn't have to be the cleanest transitions here. We just want to extend the left leg back to come into your single pigeon. You'll tuck your left toes, walk your left knee in, and see how that gives you the ability to make some space to lift your right leg up and then pull your right leg back to open the hip. Now, once again, this could feel really good, or if you would like to take flip dog or your full wheel transition, go ahead, do what serves you. 1 more inhale and exhale. Your right foot is going to land down to meet the left. We are going to you'll bend your knees and then lower your knees down onto the ground. Let's sweep the legs out in front of you. Wiggle your hips forward. And then from here, you're slowly going to lower down onto your back and walk your hips in towards your heels. Bring the soles of your feet together and your knees wide. And then option to extend the arms back behind you and grab a hold of opposite hand, opposite elbow. We'll take the last 3 breaths here to feel the parts of your body that are touching the mat and just allow those areas to get a little bit heavier. One more inhale. And let it go. All right, gently release your arms. Bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs. And just use your arms to support your legs as you come back through center. Roll off to your left or right side. And then we'll meet up in a seat. And you'll just take a moment to find a comfortable seat. Maybe take your hands to heart center and bow to yourself. You have just completed part 4 of this 4-part hip series. I hope you had a great time getting curious about those hips and sending them some love. All right, thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you for the next series.